Okay. Okay, write my message. Okay, what did I do wrong?
Number and your phone number.
There you go. Oh, I see. All right, I stuttered on that, didn't I? Okay. Yes. All right. So who would you like me to write to? What would be easier for you to dictate to me?
Yeah, you can do each one
Should I check?
separately because you're going to send different messages.
Right, but for this purposes of this, what one would you like me to?
Well, if you want to do Hirono, and I can give you some ideas, or Ron can, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So there's your basic
So this
message.
is like, I mean, if you really can't think of anything to write, you could just click send, right?
Yeah.
But you could say something like, you can use your own words, but something like, I urge you to please consider, consider the White House Shots bill, the Save Our Futures Act, as part of this, package. And that this, you guys can do better than me maybe, but this bill will protect the most vulnerable populations while seriously reducing carbon emissions, or just something like that. Because for Mazie Hirono, it's really about the vulnerable populations or the frontline communities. So
I also would like to add, because we are going to be socializing this with our friends, family, acquaintances, et cetera. They may not have the time or may not be willing to go into that level of detail. So Susan, as you mentioned earlier, even if they just click on the send button, the essence of the request, which is please support carbon pricing in this reconciliation package, will get through. So I think for us, given our intimacy with what's going on here, I think it's good for us to include that detail and socialize it with our friends, but they can also just click on send, right?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. So we good here?
if you like it, you can rearrange it or whatever.
No, let's just make this quick and easy.
Yeah.
Send.
And it fills in your name and then you get an email copy. So, and then
so Susan, who did that go to?
Hirono.
Okay, I put in the chat what I sent to Brian Schatz.
Okay.
Basically, while you're looking at that, I can read it. I'm a constituent and a voter, and climate change is a priority for me, as I know it is for you. So you've established who you are and what you're calling about. And then an appreciation. Thank you so much for your work to introduce the Save Our Future Act. If the Save Our Future Act does not move forward as we would all wish, please make sure, and here's the main ask, that carbon pricing is included in the reconciliation package. Thank you for going big and bold on climate to reduce emissions. So that's for better or worse what I said.
That sounds so great. But again, I want to emphasize that for us, I think that'll be very valuable. My recommendation is that at the very, very start of our script, that we make it very clear what we're asking, right? That, that we're asking for support for a price in carbon with the reconciliation package. And for our friends, family, et cetera, this is the same thing. Give them a recommendation, Ron, just like you've described, so they can, share that if they wanted to. But at a minimum, just to the point. And also, if we do something like that, just make sure it's at the top of the voicemail. That way, they'll, be able to get right away.
Could I see Susan has her hand up, and I hope we're actually going to just talk a little bit about how to reach out to others, but can we hear Susan's question? And then I want to get back to the next steps of the action. Susan, can you unmute?
It was actually about reaching out to people. The two people that I wrote to, I emphasized that every time you contact your congressperson, they count it as, you know, you're representing like 600 to 1,000 people, depending on your district. So,
Yeah,
you know, people think, oh, it's just me, but actually they kind of take it into, you know, into the whole plan that, you know, people hardly ever reach out, so that your voice kind of represents the kind of, you know, a segment of the population. So I did put that in when I forwarded that to people.
that's a, that's a great point to make. We, so it's a little hard to hear you, but what I think you said was, you know, your voice is like speaking for 600 people or some large, very large number. So before we move on, could we look,
Right, without you count just one person.
right? So could we just talk briefly about what we hope everybody will do next? And I don't know if we want to go back to that slide that has the action plan, or does it have it? But there's just a few things we'd like you to do after you send your own email and you know how easy it is. Then what we'd like you to do is set a goal that, you know, set a goal for how many people you think you could reach out to and how many of them might actually do this. And the easiest way, I think, is to make a list of, you know, of low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Like, I've had neighbors ask me what they could do, and I said, well, I'll let you know when I know something. And now I know. So I called them up and I sent them an email. And then I started thinking about all my relatives I haven't talked to. So, you know, just think. And then some of the folks here in California, in my Marin chapter, have already sent out 50 emails and Facebook notifications and gotten back responses already. So it's not real hard. Bobby Best had a sample that she sent out that was really short and sweet, but she gave the link so people could read about carbon pricing. And then another friend gave, you know, a lot of detail. It's up to you, but we were thinking we would make maybe provide a few templates if you need some ideas for how to reach out to friends and family. And then could we have somebody else explain the $20 raffle, the Starbucks gift card? How do we get to enter that? That sounds fun. Anybody want to explain that? Or is it still in the works? If you're,
I think, Paul, you were going to do a Google Drive, shared Google document.
Yeah, I want to, Noel had a good idea, actually. So once you've gone through the exercise of sending your emails, you will get a confirmation that, you know, they were sent. You'll get a confirmation from CCL that they were sent. And if you could forward that email to, sorry, Noel or Ron, can you remind me of put it in the chat, the email address people should send it to?
Sure, I can do that.
Thanks, Ron. So if everybody on the call can just send that, then we'll record you on a list, and at the end of this campaign, after 3 weeks, we'll just randomly draw a name from the list. And that'll be the winner of the $20 Starbucks gift card. And you can thank Susan for the gift card, since she doesn't go to Starbucks. She's offering it up to everybody else here. So.
thank you, Susan.
Sure.
Okay, that's great. I think that's it. I hope that gives you a general idea. And, you know, if folks have questions, who should we, is the email address in the chat now?
No, it will be in a minute, Molly.
Okay, great. Anyway, it's a lot easier than you think, I found. So let's do it.
And Molly, I don't know, did you want to explain that a border adjustment was proposed, and so we kind of have an in as far as the reconciliation bill goes?
Oh, that I don't remember. I don't know who's proposing border adjustments, but they're proposing that as part of the reconciliation bill. And without a carbon price, now, Paul, you could explain this better than I. Without a carbon price, a border adjustment doesn't make a lot of sense, does it?
Well, I think the issue is that the people's belief is that putting in a border tariff or what have you will not make it through the World Trade Organization's rules.
Mhm.
Because there is no explicit pricing mechanism. It would be very difficult. What would you tie your border tariff adjustment to if you don't have a policy that puts a price on carbon? It would
Right.
become quite arbitrary what you charge imports of various goods. So I don't think so. A border tariff adjustment isn't going to go anywhere if we don't have a carbon price.
Right. And then there's the other pressure that the EU and other countries are going to impose
Thank you,
some
Molly.
border adjustment. So we better get with it or we're going to be paying. I don't know. That's my simple layperson's explanation. Okay, so I also heard Danny Richter, our forget what his title is, but anyway, our legislative analysts and all strategists say that, if you just mention carbon pricing, our members of Congress, our senators will know what we're talking about. You don't have to get into too much detail. Senator Whitehouse is on Chuck Schumer's leadership team. So I can't imagine that they're having reconciliation bill discussions without talking about carbon pricing. We just have to give them our support and the will. So, okay, I'll be quiet.
All right, I think we can go ahead. Thank you, Molly, for that. And good luck, everyone, to win that $20 gift card. So I hope I win it. I'm just gonna say, I like Starbucks. So I'm gonna turn it over now. We're gonna talk a little bit about grassroots outreach. So Barry, if you could kind of start us off. Oh.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mike, but I think we wanted to give people an opportunity right now. I know this has gone on a little bit, but kind of strike while the iron is hot, since everybody saw how easy it was for you to send off a letter. It would be great if people could take 3 minutes right now to go to the website. I can put it in the chat again, CCL, USA.org/Senate, and do exactly what Susan did. And if you don't feel like writing something, as Noel said, just click send, and it's one more to the tally there.
Right. And you can do it by opening up a second browser on your laptop, or you can do it on your phone. It works, smartphone, it works either way.
All right, so
and if you've already done it, you can work on your list of 10 people that you want to encourage to, to also do it.
Thanks, Paul. I'm going to start the clock now, 4.5 minutes.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry to interrupt.
And to get to the page is cclusa.org/Senate.
I think, Ron, you should be a speaker or next time HPR does a fundraising drive.
Yes, right.
Got the perfect radio voice.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Ron, for putting in the email to send.
Yeah, and that email, hi.ccl.lobby@gmail.com, that goes to Noel and myself, and we'll keep track of all you good people somebody who's going to earn that $20 gift card. You can get a lot of coffee for $20. That'll keep you going for a week.
Depends on what you buy.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah,
it's Starbucks. Remember, this is not.
I'll tell you what, if I win, I'm going to donate to the Big Island EVA because they're pretty amped up.
Good deal. Good deal.
done, Marva? Send it off? Thank you.
Great, Marva.
Thanks, Jamin.
And here's the actual card. You can't see, but it says, "You are wonderful." So a positive note on there too.
And I guess the advice is exactly as we're doing now, to hold somebody's hand while they take this action. The recommendation is call a friend and say, hey, when would be a good time for us to sit down for 5 minutes so that I can walk you through this? And that way, you know that it got done, and they know that you're going to be there to help them, and it's all going to work perfectly, much better than oh, let's see, I'll probably do this tomorrow. Let's do it now.
Thanks, Olivia.
Great, Olivia. And this is time hugely well
Thanks,
spent.
Mike.
All right, I think everyone have enough time? All right. So as I started to say before I was interrupted, no. Well, to grassroots outreach. So I'm going to turn it over to Barry to talk a little bit about the speakers group.
Okay, thanks. So this was actually spearheaded by Jeff Stark. It started in 2019, and last year we did quite a few talks to community groups on most of the main islands, though primarily Maui and Oahu. These were short presentations that provided overviews of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act and why people should be interested in it, and to recruit new members. The primary groups we've spoken to have been Rotary clubs, and there's a lot of those on the various islands. So this has continued, but there haven't been very many presentations this year. We followed several leads, but there hasn't been as much interest so far, but we're looking for more opportunities. And there are some recorded videos of several of these presentations on the CCL Hawaii website of myself, Jeff, and a few others, I think, as well. So I guess what I'm saying is, if anyone knows of or comes across any groups who might be amenable to such a presentation, usually 15 or 20 minutes, please get in touch with me. And Zoe is helping out on this occasionally as well, and it's easy to work across islands. I'm pretty good about presentations and the technical details. I'm not as good about marketing. So if somebody feels stronger in that area, we'd be happy for you to join the team as well. So the bottom line is we're looking for more opportunities for future presentations. So think of us, and I'll put my email address in the chat if you don't know it. And that's basically it. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks, Barry. All right, if no one has any questions, then we'll go over to Susan to talk about the monthly calling campaign.
All right. And the first thing we're going to do is Mike's going to play a video for us, which explains what a monthly calling campaign is.
Our volunteer liaisons to Congress have a problem. Congress is not getting enough calls about climate.
We're just not getting enough calls to Congress for them to pay attention to us.
I bet they would listen to you if you could call.
I know you would call every month if you could, Carrie.
We're just not on their radar because they're not getting enough calls. I know. I don't get it either.
Yep, Moxie, carbon pricing is popular, but they're not hearing from enough people in our neighborhood.
Our reps said they'd support climate legislation. They said they'd even support a specific bill if we had enough people in the district give a call. Yeah, I know.
Did you know that 33% of people would call Congress if asked by someone they trust? That means you should ask your family, friends, and neighbors to call Congress. All it takes is thumbs and the ability to talk. We'll help you with the rest. We'll send you a monthly text or email reminder with the phone numbers and some talking points. Call Congress today to make our district liaisons and their pets happy. Sign up for CCL's monthly calling campaign at cclcalls.org.
All right, thanks. So the monthly calling campaign is something we actually do every month. We are going to pause it for the next, I would say, at least month, because we're all trying to do this, the big push for the national campaign to get carbon pricing into the reconciliation bill. But after we pass that in about a month, you can go to this clickable link there, cclusa.org/call. And then you will be signing yourself up for the monthly calling campaign. And it's very easy. It's very quick. As you saw, your cat or dog apparently can do it. But what happens is you get signed up and you're assigned a day. Mine is the 15th of every month. And on the 15th of every month, I get a text and it says it's your day to call. There's maybe a 2-sentence script that says, I'm really concerned about climate change. Senator Schatz, would you, support a bill on putting a price on carbon, or specifically our bill, HR 2307. So it just takes like less than 5 minutes a month, but it's really probably one of the best things you can do because, as they said in the video, Congress isn't getting enough calls about climate change. Like we all know, we all care about it, but if the Congress people don't get a call and all they get a call from are fossil fuel companies, then you kind of know, where their priorities are going to lie. So just again, the monthly calling campaign is something you can do for less than 5 minutes a month, and it's really, really important. So I urge you to do this link and sign yourself up. You'll get a text and it'll be really quick every month, but you'll be making a big difference. So I don't know if anybody else, Ron, if you want to add anything to that. I'm the administrator for Oahu, and Ron is for the Big Island, yeah?
Yep. And I just second what you said, Susan. It's a very positive way. It doesn't need to be intimidating. most of the time, especially if you call after hours, you'll get a message machine. So, you know, the script is there and I just say, hey, my name's Ron, last name Riley. I'm calling from Volcano Village. Thank you for taking my message. And my message is, you know, please support carbon fee and dividend, carbon pricing. Thank you very much. And that gets logged in on the clipboard. Somebody, Ron Riley in this case, called about climate change. And we've had members of Congress in our meetings with them, we've had aides say, we never get calls about climate change. And so Citizens Climate Lobby has worked very hard to help make it easy for us to change that dynamic to where they can say, I'm getting hundreds of calls about climate change. My constituents feel this is very important. And we're basically creating the political will for climate solutions by making these calls. So go get them, team. It's important. And thank you.
Thanks.
Great, thank you guys.
How do you sign up for
Are
the
there any
month?
questions?
How do you sign up for the monthly reminder? I just went to this website, but it just took me to the script for the two senators. I didn't see a place to subscribe to like a monthly reminder.
Oh, I thought you were, okay. So have you signed up? So I guess you did sign up already?
No, I'm wondering how to sign up for the monthly reminder.
Oh, okay. Maybe, you know what, maybe I should share my screen. Do you think we could do that? Don't know. Let's see.
I was going to share, Susan,
Or
for
Ron,
you.
you could. Okay. Okay, great. So are we on? There we go. All right.
So it looks like they're focused on the reconciliation package right now. So that's why.
Oh, okay. They've changed it for the next probably 3 to 6 weeks. I apologize. I didn't know that they changed it.
I didn't know that either.
Okay.
But Susan, maybe once you call your senator, you know, for the reconciliation package, maybe you're going to get invited to be in the monthly calling campaign.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. So I would suggest go ahead and doing what it says on here, and then hopefully you'll be signed up. And if not, you can use the previous link that maybe Ron can put in our chat for the regular monthly calling campaign.
Sure, I'll put it.
Just in case.
Yeah, okay, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Olivia. I didn't realize even that they changed it, so thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, so Susan, you want to take us into grass tops engagement?
Sure, yeah. So why don't you go to the next slide and then I'll come back to this one because I want to talk about our endorsers. So Hawaii has quite a few grass top endorsers, from Zane, the professional surfer, to some professors from University of Hawaii, to MauiVeganLife.com. And what they have supported our Carbon Fee and Dividend Act. And this is important, again, when we talk to our legislators, because we have all of these groups and associations, you know, endorsing the bill. And so that means there's that many more people behind the bill. And there's Noel's Big Island EV Association right there at the top. And so the way we get endorsers is if you're involved in some other organization, like Noel is with the EV Association, and I'm with, let's see, the third one down is Faith Action for Community Equity. And that is, I'll tell you a little bit about how I got involved in that and then how we got their endorsement. So Faith Action for Community Equity is a nonprofit organization. It's a group of about 24 constituents, mostly mainline Christian churches, Methodist. And so they got a presentation from our Speakers Bureau, and they were really on board with the carbon fee and dividend on the national level. And so they became an endorser. And then also the cool thing with that is I'm also a member of Faith Action Environmental Justice Task Force, and we are working to do a carbon fee and dividend at the state of Hawaii level. You know, obviously we want a national one, but we're also working at the state level. So there's a lot of really good overlap there. And that's kind of how you build coalitions is you branch out to other organizations. Oftentimes you have, something in common with them, and you just kind of grow your base. And if you could go back one more slide.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, along the lines of building coalitions, then as I said, Faith Action is made up of 24 other organizations, and one is a union, one is a Buddhist temple, and then also a lot of Protestant and some Catholic churches. And so we also have an opportunity to go to each of those faith groups and see if they would like to be an endorser as well. And then sometimes we can take some of our endorsers to our lobby meetings. Like the last couple lobby meetings, we had individuals from Faith Action for Community Equity there. And they were saying, that our faith calls us to do something to care for our creation, to care for our earth, right? To God's creation. And so that just adds, again, another level and another group of people that are promoting Carbon Fee and Dividend Act. Are there any questions on building coalitions or kind of how that works?
This is Marv. I have a question. I noticed if you go back to the list that I think there was one Sierra Club. There was Hawaii, let's see, Mokuloa Group Sierra Club. Have we tried to get the Sierra Club state endorsement?
Right. First, is anybody familiar with who this Mokulua Group Sierra Club is?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
Hawaiian.
Yeah, I am. And what I can say is Sierra Club has a national leadership, and as a national leadership, I think it's true that they have not formally endorsed the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, but local chapters are free to do so. And a couple of us went to the local Hawaii Island Mokuloa group on Hawaii Island, and we presented to their board of directors at one of their monthly meetings, and they chose to formally endorse, which you do online. So that's how that happened. And could that happen with the Oahu group? I don't know. Have to meet with them and ask them.
Yeah, I can answer that. We've actually with Faith Action, we've been reaching out to them, and they're, at least that leadership is just not willing yet to endorse a carbon fee and dividend. But we just keep the dialogue open and keep inviting them to different events that we're having. That's another way you build coalitions is where this Saturday there's a documentary, The Other Side of the Hill, that we've invited various environmental groups to and various church groups to. And then we have a discussion, and then that gives us another opportunity to talk about carbon fee and dividend on the federal level and carbon cash back on the state level. So it is interesting. As Ron said, the Sierra clubs have their local, chapters, and they do have some differences in how they see environmental issues and what's going to help. So we're still working on that. But
can I just add that and CCL National is in conversation with these large organizations, with 350 and Sierra Club and so on and so forth. So we're not blind to the differences and all, but so it's there's still, I think, a lot of misconception about carbon pricing. People still think cap and trade, or they think it's a tax on the people instead of on the fossil fuel companies. So anyway, that's just another little bit of info on Sierra Club, et
Yeah,
cetera.
you bring up a good point, Molly, that some of it is educating people about exactly what carbon fee and dividend is, and that our bill, all of it goes back to the people. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of mix up between carbon tax and cap and trade, and they just kind of muddle them all together. So again, that's why the Speakers Bureau is really important, and getting the word out at exactly what we're talking about with a carbon fee and dividend, because that brings in the equity issue, because we don't want middle and low income folks to bear the burden, right? We want the dividend to bring them to equal or come out ahead, which several studies have already shown that they would, low income especially, would come out mostly ahead. And I think that's it. Oh, I guess I'm sorry, wanted to have a discussion about if anybody wants to kind of brainstorm about what other groups we could bring in. You know, I think we've tried to make some inroads into maybe local chamber of commerce, or Kiwanis Club, or if anybody just kind of wants to throw out some ideas, that'd be great.
Union groups, if you have contact or are a member, they are important.
Great.
And a big national endorsement is the American Federation of Teachers, which is huge. They're the second largest teachers union. So that is not a Hawaii union, but just if anyone knows, there's still the NEA out there. We could, if any of you are involved in education.
Great.
And the Rotarians are an international organization.
And yeah, and one of the interesting things about Rotarians is they do not, it's my understanding that they do not support as policy, political endorsements. However, it's very important to meet with Rotarians because their individual membership is totally free to become a Rotarian who happens to be a member of Citizens Climate Lobby, even though their chapter and their national organization will not officially endorse.
Ron, it should also be pointed out that the late founder of Citizen Climate Lobby was a very active Rotarian from California, Marshall Saunders.
Exactly. Yeah. And another organization that's in a similar position would be the League of Women Voters. They will not support a specific bill, but their members can.
Yeah. Yeah, and they could make monthly calls with the monthly calling
Yeah,
campaign.
exactly. Exactly.
Right, right. And that's another, way of building coalitions. Maybe that organization isn't allowed or can't, like the League of Women Voters can't take a stand on a particular bill, but maybe their members want to get involved. So yeah, there's just another way of getting support.
Great. All right.
Anyone else have any ideas of?
Well, I think on the next page, if we can progress to that one, there's a call to action here, and that is, if we identify any potential endorsers, and that would be groups as well as individuals, prominent individuals, that we invite you to send us that referral in this email that you see there, or just put in the chat. And what we'll do is we'll follow up with you so that maybe we can make that introduction and help them get on board. So yeah, if any of you have any ideas, feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can send an email.
Thanks, Noel. Okay, so I think we're gonna go on to media relations and turn it over to Virginia to talk a little bit about LTEs and op-eds.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've had some great LTE submitted recently, and we're just waiting to see them published. So I'm checking the papers every day. We have 2 of them out there from Susan and Bobby Best. we're always looking for people who are interested in writing letters. And if you are, I can add you to an email list where I send out letter to the editor opportunities. And I also post them in the forum for the Oahu chapter. So it's probably best I could put you on the email list if you are a member of another islands chapter. And I'll put my email in the chat. And if anyone is oops, if anyone's interested in an op-ed, that's always a good idea. And we have had a couple op-eds published. If you go to the state of Hawaii CCL website that Noel put together, oh, well, and there they are. And he's showing, David's showing them on the screen right now. It shows past letters and op-eds that have been published.
Yeah, I thought I'd just socialize it while you were mentioning it.
I looked down and there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just
So
email
I
me.
think, yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
if you're interested in getting those opportunities, and I'll add you to the email list. And then we should just put what cclhawaii.org is the website.
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
Oh, you already put it in. Okay, great.
Yeah,
There
so
you go. Yeah.
So I think I have the next couple of items, which is to, it's a good segue, share information about what we've been doing with outreach. And what I placed in the chat are the URLs for the links to our website, to our Facebook group, Facebook page, and also our Instagram account. So if you are on those channels, feel free to visit and like. And also importantly, share our website if you're interested, if you'd like to share information about carbon pricing, carbon fee and dividend, what's happening with the different chapters across the state. I won't go into all the details here other than just to give you a sense for what we've done so far. And I invite you, if anyone's interested in providing content, working on the website, the design, et cetera, to just reach out to me. I know I did reach out to a number of our leaders across the state, and I owe you a meeting invitation so we can talk about how we can better, manage this. But I just want to give you a sense for what we have here. So this is our homepage. We've got an about page. We've got information about carbon pricing in general, as well as carbon pricing in Hawaii. So, what Susan mentioned earlier about the attempts locally to install a price on carbon, we have information there too. We publish our events. We have a calendar here, which illustrates the different things that are coming up. We have a blog. Obviously we need to keep this alive. If anyone's interested in providing content, happy to publish that on your behalf. And then we have resources. I think Barry mentioned earlier that we have a whole bunch of presentations out there that have been delivered by a number of us. And what I've tried to do is capture and insert that into the website. So there's one location for all of the presentations that we've made. So you can kind of see the things that we've done here over time. I'm also trying to provide insight into videos that are interesting, that'll help the public understand what carbon pricing is. And so we try to keep that updated. And then there's also information here about just general support for carbon pricing. So what we try to do is collect information, interesting information. There's a ton out there, and publish it here in this location, so that if people are interested in finding out what other groups, entities, publications are saying about carbon pricing, they can quickly come to some of that information, not all of it, but some of the information here. And then lastly, I think we already talked about news, and we have a newsletter. I think there's some work that we need to do here keep that active and allow for a subscription. But you know, this is a starting point. There's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done. I mentioned earlier we have a social media page. Please visit and like us. Also contribute content. I think anytime we can contribute relevant content about the climate change, the climate crisis, the role of carbon pricing in mitigating those issues, the better. And then we also have an Instagram page. So that is the update on what we're doing with social media as well as the website. I yield back. Any questions, by the way? Any comments?
I think it's fabulous, Noel. Thanks so much for all the work you put into that already, and I believe we'll continue to put in.
My pleasure.
Yeah, looks great. Okay, so I think we'll move on now to Jamin. I think we're going to talk a little bit about group development and organizing.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay? My mic be kind of soft. Pretty good.
Little soft, but
you're a little
soft?
bit quiet.
Okay, I'll talk really loud. So group development, this will be a strangely meta conversation. I know we're close to 8 o'clock, so I'll try to go through this really quickly. But speaking for the Honolulu chapter, at least, for a long while now, we've had a steady inflow of new members that register on CCL. And most of all of these, there's no engagement with them after registering. Sometimes we get some come to a meeting and maybe once and then, no more. So this has been mystifying me for a long time. I've been emailing and calling folks without too much success. So Tamara and Molly were really gracious and connecting me to some other chapters on the mainland. I thought there were these like mega chapters that had hundreds of members and commanded them through like Twitter and Discord and mobilize each other. But the story is kind of the same across the board. The chapters look a lot like we do. Kind of a core group of heavily invested folk that do the heavy lifting. So, but they also had some great ideas. So the Salt Lake City chapter in Utah has a good approach where they have a purely like new member meeting presentation kind of onboarding where it's strictly just the new member, the bill, locked in a room. Like that's all. There's no operational stuff. They're not talking about projects that they're doing. It's just working on getting the new members more invested into what we're doing, carbon fee and dividend, because I believe a lot of these members that we see coming to us kind of come mostly out of curiosity. They've heard about it, and CCL does a really great job of getting its name out there on large places like Reddit. Like you see these posts on Reddit that get thousands of upvotes. Like people are reading this and they're like, oh, CCL, and they sign up, but they're not quite hooked yet. So Salt Lake City chapter has a once a month meeting where it's just that they go over why CCL. They do a little bit of on roads presentation and talk about ways for the new members to get invested. And Sarah and I had a slightly different iteration of this for new members. We kind of like propose like a coffee hour where it's just like, hey, let's get on casually on Zoom and we'll just talk about CCL and the new members could just, we want them to ask the questions basically. So like kind of, and Marva, I think we did this one with you as well. So I thought that was helped a little bit with well, Marva's still here, so that's maybe that maybe that worked. But so yeah, I would like to, I'm gonna attend this new member presentation from the Salt Lake City chapter. It's happening in August, so hopefully I bring back some more strategies and techniques. But I really think, and it's something that I plan to undertake as well for the Honolulu chapters, to really flesh out like an onboarding experience for new members, where it's just you know, the new members at the wheel, and they get to ask all the questions and push all the buttons about carbon fee until they've, you know, they're like, yes, I want my driver's license to this and sign me up. So what that's going to look like, I'd love to talk about it and hear from everyone. But right now, what we have is, again, like that kind of casual coffee hour. So, you know, I can build off of that format. And yeah, it's really been central, just what I've been experiencing. And I'd really love to hear from the other chapters, like, you know, Ron, guys, what your experiences are with retaining new members and whatnot. So yeah, if
Do you,
anyone
do you want a thought real quick?
Sure.
I'll just tell you, after a few years of doing this, the one thing that really seems to get people to stick is to get them to a lobby meeting, because once they've done that, they know they know why they're doing everything else. And I can't tell you how many people have stuck because somebody said, just come lobby. You don't need to know it all. Just join a lobby team. So that's just my one little bit of an aha.
That's what I did.
Yep. Thank you. That's really great, Molly. Just yeah, and for the lobby teams, I think Paul's been really great every time I ask him, you know, if we can fit in folks, and just sometimes even as just an observer, like they, you know, don't necessarily, maybe all the roles are full or we don't, you know, have anything else to fill. So like just them being there to watch and see the action unfold, I think is really beneficial in getting them more invested into CCL. Because I really think like once you ignite that fire into you know, they really like the bill, like, well, I really like this, then that leads into, you know, involvement in all of these projects and citizen engagement. So it's kind of the idea.
And one quick thing, Jamin. I also think the staff and the congressmen and the senators like to meet new people, you know, rather than seeing, you know, the usual suspects. So if they see, you know, more people, and they always like to talk about, you know, who you are, where you live, you know, background and stuff. And yeah, I think it's enjoyable. It makes the lobby meeting enjoyable for our representatives as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, anyone else? Sorry, I've totally gone off track from the slide that's in front of me.
All right, any other, I guess, questions or things to discuss around this? Any other comments or concerns?
I have a question. This is Marva.
Yes.
So if we are successful with our emails and our calls and our arguments, and this gets included in the reconciliation bill and it passes, is that the entire objective for this group, or and then we just congratulate each other and move, you know, disband, or, you know, what else is there?
That's a great question. And I think the answer to that is very simple. Carbon fee and dividend and these bills that we're supporting are regarded by economists and scientists as the single best first step. They're not enough by themselves, but they're the single best first step. And what CCL National has said, Marva, when we get carbon pricing established into law, okay, then we're gonna, have a big party and congratulate ourselves and get drunk and all the rest of it. But then we're gonna see what is the next big best step that the organization will pivot to. And there's been no hint, as far as I know, of what that may be. But one of the strengths of our organization is we're not distracted by 10 different worthy, wonderful causes. We're laser focused on this one. When we get this one done, then we'll find another one. Yet to be determined what it is.
Thank you.
Besides, we all love each other so much, we couldn't just say, okay,
Yeah,
thanks,
right.
goodbye.
And that is something that we stress, because it is the most important first step, but there are other areas. It's not a silver bullet, right? It's not like, okay, our job is done, climate change is is finished, there will be more work to do, but yeah, we look forward to when we get it passed and then go on to our next challenge. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well said. Okay, that brings us to the end. I think we covered about everything. So this just kind of gives a list of, if you want to help, different ways that you can help that, right? And we kind of talked through most of these, whether you want to write a letter, join a calling campaign, I guess join us on our webpage, become a member. There's multiple info sessions, of course, on the CC website. So if you want to learn different facets of ways you can help and how to do it. So, there's a plethora of stuff there to go in and check out and spend some time on. Our next meeting will be in August. I guess Molly, any closing thoughts or any other questions from the group?
I would love to just, make sure that if you have questions, you feel like you know where you can ask them. If you want to find out about the resources that are available, there's so much available. If you pick a topic and there's a webinar for it, and there are live calls every week on different topics. So would the website, no, wait, I'm not seeing it. The email address that we put in the chat, is that the best place for folks to ask questions, Noel?
Sure.
That's a good place.
Okay. Yeah. So just so folks don't feel like they have to wait till the next meeting,
Right.
and then we would, yeah, if you want to volunteer or you just have questions, please don't hesitate.
Right. And let me just mention, if many people know this already, but if you don't know, if you want to save the chat, down at the very bottom on the right-hand side, there are 3 little dots. And if you click on those 3 little dots, up will pop a little window which says Save Chat. And if you click on that, it will say Chat Saved. And that will show up in a folder on your laptop. And all those good little links and comments will be there for you to enjoy after the meeting.
Ron, do we have the recorded material on our individual devices?
I don't believe so. I think whoever's doing the recording, Jamin, could speak to that. I think that has to be shared later in a separate link.
Good.
Correct. Yes.
And I just want to say great meeting.
You personally got to go and click and save on the 3 little buttons on the bottom.
Good. Thank you. And I think this is a great meeting, guys. Everybody stayed awake and we finished right exactly on 8 o'clock.
Congratulations.
Good job, Mike.
Yeah, just like you planned it, right?
Nice,
Yeah.
Mike. Exactly. After those
We'll have to do
25
something about
rehearsals.
that next time.
And
job,
thank you,
everyone.
Kauai, for joining. Good to see you. Helen,
Aloha.
Joe, Ruta.
Good to see you too.
Have a good night.
Aloha.
Thanks,
Aloha.
everyone.
Aloha,
Great
all.
meeting.
Aloha. Ahoy ho.
Aloha.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, Ron.